Today, I would like to share a few thoughts on overcoming fear or freedom from fear. But before I share, let me read a Bible passage from 2 Timothy 1:7. 2 Timothy 1:7 clearly tells us that God did not give us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and self-control. This passage is one of the most important passages in a Christian life today. And this passage is my favorite passage because it has always motivated me and helped me to grow stronger in faith. Before I share, I want to tell you about this Bible passage. This Bible passage talks about what God has given to us. This passage is about what God can do for us. Today, many of us are a slave of fear. Today, many of us are suffering. Today, many of us are struggling in their life. And many of us are afraid of failure, are afraid of being rejected, are afraid of losing someone or something in their life. And this has hindered them to progress in their life. No matter what kind of situation we face today, the important thing is how we as a Christian overcome it. Many of us today do not confront fear and we try to run away from it or escape from it. Fear are not actually a reality, but it is actually a false evidence which appears to be real. Satan uses tactics to weaken us through our fear. But the Bible clearly tells us that when fear knocks the door, let the faith open the door. Well, at a certain point of life, we all experience fear. It creates as a thought and it creates as an emotion that rules us. Many of us are ruled by fear, and this fear manipulates us. And because of this fear, we miss God's blessing in our life today. Today, are you and I overcome by fear? How many of us have gifts, talents, and blessings? And how many of us are using it? And how many of us are not using it because we have tried and have failed? Isaiah 43:1 encourages us not to fear. In the Bible, fear not is used 80 times. Today, when we look in Genesis, we see that Adam and Eve have committed sin. They were afraid because they did not listen and they disobeyed God. They were afraid that God will never forgive them. In the same way, we as a Christian commit sin. We think that God will never forgive us, but God actually forgives us. Conquering fear is not a matter of personal determination, but it is actually a complete dependence on God. And 2 Timothy 1:7 clearly tells us that God has given us power to strengthen us, a power to be saved, as we can see in John 1:12. God has given us a power to be joyful. God has given us a power to endure trials, temptation, pains, struggles, as we can see in 1 Corinthians 12:9. So, the more we trust, the less we fear. And that is very true. The more we have positive attitude, the less we fear. Conquering fear begins by developing a healthy relationship with God. It develops when we fix our eyes on God. As a Christian, are we living in faith today? What does God say about fear? And how can we overcome it? Psalms 23:4 tells us not to fear, because God's hand upholds everything. No matter what kind of situation we face today, let us try our best. Let us use what God has given to us. When God forgives, He completely forgives. So we should not worry about what we have done in the past. Rather, let us move forward so that Satan will not rule us through fear. To overcome, we should know that God already knew you before you knew yourself. God knew what we were going to do before we did it. That's why God sent His only Son to die for us on a cross. Today, we as a Christian need to exercise our gift. And God never gave us an agenda to destroy us. Rather, He gave us power. He loves us so much, and He wants us to draw closer to Him, so that when we face fear, we can be able to overcome it. Today, I encourage each and every individual to consistently keep in touch with God, so that we can live in faith and overcome fear. Amen.